Good afternoon, dear students. In our previous class, we studied about the Coulomb's law. So, what is the statement of Coulomb's law? The electric force between 2 point charges kept in the air at a distance of r from each other is directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And the mathematical expression for Coulomb's law is F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r square. So we arrived at the final expression in our previous class, and and here F is the electric force, epsilon is the permittivity constant, q1 and q2 are the point charges, and r is the distance between q1 and q2. And in today's class we are going to study about forces between the multiple charges. Okay, forces between multiple charges. Forces between multiple charges. Okay, so in today's class we are going to study about forces between multiple charges. In Coulomb's law, we considered only 2 point charges, that is q1 and q2, and studied about the force acting between q1 and q2 when we consider these two charges as positive. When these two charges are positive, we have learned that like charges repel each other. So when we consider two positive point charges, we saw the repulsive force between them. But here in this case, we are considering multiple charges, that is q1, q2, q3, q4, q5, and so on up to q1. So what will happen if we consider multiple charges acting, okay, on one single charge? What are the types of forces? What kind of force is acting on this charge by these multiple charges? The forces between two multiple charges uh, is going to be studied today. So for that, let us consider one simple diagram. Okay, let us consider one simple diagram for our better understanding. So let us consider an origin O, and 1 point charge Q2, and one more point charge Q3, and another point charge Q1. Okay, so now let us join these charges to the origin. So let us join this Q1 to our origin. Just a second, I'll draw it neatly. So let us consider this Q1. This is a Q1, okay, and join it to the origin. So this is Q1, and this is Q2, and this is Q3. Okay, this is Q3. Okay, so this is Q3. Now what happened? Let us consider the distance between these point charges to origin as R1, R2, and R3 respectively. So what is it? The distance from these charges to the origin is R1, R2, and R3 respectively. As I said, in Coulomb's law, we just study the forces acting between two charges. But here we are going to study the forces acting between three charges or the multiple charges. Now what we have to find out, our job is to determine the force acting between these three charges. For that, let us consider the force being acted on Q1 by Q2. What happens? The force being acted by Q2 on Q1. Okay, this is Q1. Okay, this is Q2, and this is Q3. Now I am considering the force acting on Q1 by Q2. Okay, and similarly the force acting by Q3 on Q1. So what did we consider? The force acting by charge Q2 on Q1, and the force acting on Q1 by the charge Q3. So here in Coulomb's law we just consider 2. Okay, but here we are considering 3. So we will take it separately. One is charge Q2 acting on Q1 and charge Q3 acting on Q1. Okay, got it? So here we can see three charges, right? In this we saw only two charges, but here in this case we see three charges. But Coulomb's law doesn't allow us to take three multiple charges. But here we are considering multiple charges. So now question arises: how we do we calculate this? How do we understand about the force acting between the multiple charges? To understand this, to go into this concept, the new theorem or the principle was introduced, and this principle was named as the principle of superposition. The principle of superposition. Okay. Here in the principle of superposition, we consider Coulomb's law itself, but with the multiple charges. Okay, but with the multiple charges, it is nothing but the total sum of all these different charges. When we add up all these charges, the forces acting by these charges, we arrive at a sum that is called as the principle of superposition. We all know the property, the charges are additive. So here we take the forces acting by the charges q1, q2 and so on, and we take the sum of all these charges and we arrive at a total charge or the total force. That principle is called as the principle of superposition. Okay, that is called as the principle of superposition. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll mark this force which is acting on Q1 by Q2 as F12. Okay, what I'll do now, I'll consider this force acting by Q2 on Q1 as F12. So what does F12 means? F is a force. What is 1? It is being acted on Q1, charge Q1. By what? By charge Q2. So I represent it as F12. Similarly, the force being given by Q3 on Q1 will be written as what? F13. What is it? Force acted by Q3 on what? On Q1. Or you can say force acting on Q1 by what? By Q3. So we represent it as F13, and the force of Q1 all by itself is written as F1. Okay, understood? The force acted by charge Q2 on Q1 will be written as force 1, 2, and the force acting by Q3 on Q1 is written as force F13, and the force of Q all by itself is written as F1, and F1 is nothing but the sum of these two forces. Okay, that is the principle of superposition. F1 is nothing but the sum of these two forces, that is F1 is equal to F12 plus F13. So this is a principle of superposition. Now to represent it in a vector form, I write this as R12 cap and this as R13 cap. So according to Coulomb's law, what will be the expression of this force F12? What will be the expression of force F12 by Coulomb's law that we studied in our previous class? It is nothing but 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Okay, Q1, Q2, Q1, Q2 by what? What is this thing? This is R12, R12. Okay, in vector form, we write Coulomb's law as R12 hat. Okay, so similarly, if we write the expression for F13, if we write the expression for F13, this section, what happens? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1, and here we consider Q3 R13, R13 hat. So if we consider Q4, the expression will be same. That will be F14, 1 by epsilon naught, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 into Q4 divided by R14 into R14 hat. And if we go on till Qn, the expression will be Fn1 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 into Qn divided by R1n into R1 hat. Got it? If suppose if I consider till Q1, the expression goes on till Q1. So what will be the superposition? What will be the principle of superposition? F1 will be equal to F12 plus F13 plus so on till F1n. Okay, This is the principle of superposition. With this expression, we will find out the force acting between the multiple charges. So now let us substitute this F1 and F3 in this. What happens? F1 and F3. So I'll clear it and I'll write it over here. I'll clear this and I'll write it neatly over here. It might be little difficult in understanding, but if you concentrate, it's not that difficult. It is just the addition of the Coulomb's law considering the multiple charges. Okay, we just considered q1, q2, q3 till q1, and we are substituting the same mathematical expression and we are adding it up. That's it. So if we consider f1 is equal to f12 plus f13 plus so on till f1n. So what happened? Substitute the value of f12. F12 is nothing but 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r12 into r12 hat, and plus what is it? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, okay, q1 q3 by r13 into r13 hat. Okay, so now what happened? Now we can write it in a simplified manner. That is, see what is common over here. What is common? 1 by 4 pi epsilon is common, epsilon naught is common. Okay, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is common. And what is common in this expression? Q1 is common. So let us take Q1, sorry. Q1 is common. Okay, what is common? Q1. I'll write it neatly. Q1 is common. See, the only these charges are changing, but the Q1 charge is same. Q1, Q2, Q1, Q3, and so on till Q1, Qn, right? So we take Q1 outside, then we'll write it's a summation, right? We are taking the sum of all these things. So we'll introduce the symbol of summation. From where? From where? I is 0 to n. It is it is changing from 2 to n because 1 is same, 1 is constant. We consider 1. So we have taken it outside. The changes is from 2 to n, right? It is from 2 to n. So we'll take summation I from 2 to n. And what is remaining? What is remaining? R1 is same, right? R1 is same. Okay, just a second. Okay, R1 is same. What is remaining? R1 divided by, so okay, wait. This pen is not working properly. I'll write it for a better understanding. So what is remaining? 1 by Q1 we have taken outside. So here what is remaining? R1n R1n hat, right? Okay, got it. What does this mean? This means Q1 is not changing. So we take Q1 and 4 pi epsilon naught outside the summation. And in summation, I is from 0 to, I is from 2 to n. Therefore, the final expression will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 summation of I is equal to 2 to n R1n hat by R1n. Okay. I forgot to write the square over here, the Coulomb's law. This is square, and this is going to be the square. Okay, got it? This is the expression. This is nothing but the force between the multiple charges, or the expression for the superposition theorem. I'll give you the notes. I'll give the clear notes about it. You can go through it. Okay, did you understand about the force acting between the multiple charges, or the forces between the multiple charges? Okay, so this was all about the principle of superposition. Now we'll go to another important concept, the next concept in this chapter, that is electric field. Electric field. Okay, the next concept is electric field. We'll understand what are electric fields, what are the properties of electric field, and so on in this concept. To begin with, let us consider a charge, positive charge Q. Okay, let us consider a positive charge Q. Now we'll bring one more point charge near Q. See, what is point charge? Point charge is a small charge. Okay, the size is small. Okay, the size is small. So we'll bring the point charge towards this charge. Now what happened? According to Coulomb's law, there is a force acting between them, right? There is a force acting between them. If it is a like charge, it will repel, that is, it will experience the repulsive force. And if it is a unlike charge, it will experience the attractive force. Why will these charges experience force? Why the force is acting between them? This force is applied only at a certain area, right? If it is applied only at a certain area, if I take this charge very far from this, the force between them will be very less, and if I bring it very near, the force will be more. So it is acting in a certain area, and that is, if a charge is near, the force is more. If the charge is far, the force is less. So why there is a force acting between these two charges? To understand this concept, we consider the concept of electric field. Okay, so why the force is acting between these two charges? What is present in that area? Okay, see, if I consider two charges q1 and q2, and if it is positive and this is positive, we see the repulsive force. And if I consider one more charge q1 and q2, if it is negative and this is negative, there also we see the repulsive forces. And if I consider one more charge q1 and q2, if this is plus, this is minus, we see the attractive force. So why the force is acting between these two? Why the force is arising in between them? There must be something, right? There should be something but for the force to experience. So this is called as the electric field. There is something present around them in a certain area. There is a kind of field that is present in certain area around these charges or between these charges. This is called as the electric field. Whenever we bring a charge close to another point charge, they experience a force. This force is experienced at a certain distance. That means there is something around them. This something is nothing but the electric field. Okay, understood? The force acting between two charges at a certain distance in a certain area is called as the electric field because of the presence of electric field. Okay, so let us consider this as the positive charge, okay, which produces electric field. And this is a point charge which is very small, which is very negligible, and this won't produce any electric field. Only this charge produces electric field. This positive charge which produces electric field is called as the source charge. Source charge. And this point charge, which does not produce any what do you call, any charge around it, is called as the test charge. Test charge. So what happens? Source charge is a charge which is able to produce a field around it. Source charge is a charge which is able to produce a field around it. Similarly, when we bring one more point charge close to it, this charge which does not produce any electric field is called as the test charge. Okay, it's called as the test charge. This test charge is very small and it is not able to produce a field on its own. Okay, because it has a small magnitude. The magnitude is very small. If we consider this point charge as positive, the force between these two will be repulsive. See, this is anyway positive, and if I consider this as positive, the force acting between these two will be repulsive. If I consider the opposite charge, if I consider this as negative, the force acting between these two will be what? Attractive force. We know that like charges attract each other, unlike charges repel each other. So this is all about the electric field. Now we'll see the depth of this electric field. Now we'll go in detail about this electric field. Okay, we'll go in detail about this electric field. Let us consider the point charge again, that is plus charge q, and one more point charge q. Electric field due to charge q at point P. Okay, let us consider this as P. Now let us define the electric field with this diagram. So what will be the definition of electric field? electric field due to a charge q at a point at a point in a space may be defined as the force that a unit charge would experience if placed at that point. Okay, what happens? Electric field due to a charge q at a certain point in a space may be defined as force that a unit charge or a unit positive charge would experience. This one, unit positive charge would experience if it is placed at a point. Okay, so now what did we understand about this? If the force is experienced between two charges, there will be a field called electric field. So we'll understand it better. We'll consider this as a positive charge and this point charge also as a positive charge, and the distance between these two charges r. Okay, we'll consider this as a positive charge and this point charge is a positive charge, also a positive charge, and the distance between these two charges be r. This is called the source charge and this point charge is called as the test charge, and the distance between them is r. So mathematically this can be written as E is equal to, E is nothing but the electric field. The mathematical expression of electric field can be written as E is equal to limit, okay, limit F by Q, where Q is tending to 0. Q is tending to 0. So what it is? E is equal to limit of F by Q, where F is the force, okay, and Q is tending to 0. Q is tending to 0. Okay, so let us simplify this expression. Q tending to 0 means what? Q tending to 0 means it is negligibly small in its magnitude. That is very small, negligibly small in its magnitude. So we can write it as E is equal to F by Q. If we consider this distance r, if we consider, see this this q is very negligible, so we just considered E is equal to F by Q. Now if we want to consider the distance between them, how can we write this expression? If we are considering the distance between them, that is r, then it can be written as ER is equal to FR by Q, where r is the distance between two charges. Now write the expression, Coulomb's expression, like in this. What happens? What it will happen? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, right? Here the charge 1 is q and the charge 2 is q, small q, and the distance between them is r square, right? The distance between them is r square. And what do we have? This is the value of f, okay? The only thing I've written here is the value of f. And what is remaining? 1 by q is remaining. Why 1 by q? Here it is q, right? How you can write this one? I'll express it clearly. F into 1 by q r. So how it is? F into 1 by q r. So we substituted the value of f over here and we took 1 by q as it is, and as it is in the vector form we wrote r hat. Now what happens? This q gets cancelled. What will be the expression? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q, that is source charge, by r square into r hat. So this is the expression for electric field. Okay, this is the expression for electric field. What did we do here? We considered one charge, that is positive charge, which is called as the source charge at a certain point, and we named it as P. And from a distance from a distance r, okay, we consider a distance r, we placed one more charge called Q, which is also a positive charge, and this charge is called as test charge, and it is very small, negligibly small. Okay, the magnitude is negligibly small and we can almost consider it as 0. It is not able to produce its own electric field, whereas this q will produce its own electric field. So mathematically this diagram or this concept was written as E is equal to limit q tending to 0 F by Q. Since q is 0, we just wrote it simplified version, E is equal to F by Q. Now what happened? We considered the distance r. So we introduced r. Er is equal to Fr by Q. So how will you write this Fr? We substituted the value of F, that is according to Coulomb's law. Or according to Coulomb's law, F will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. We are considering two charges. Here in Coulomb's law, we consider Q1 and Q2, right? So here it is Q and Q. So we wrote Q and Q, and the distance is r square and r hat. And this 1 by q is as it is. We took 1 by q because we have it in this expression. We have 1 by q, so we took 1 by q as it is. In the next step, the q and q get cancelled. So what is remaining? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q r square into r hat. This is the expression for what? Electric field. Now the simple property of electric field is, there is one simple property of electric field, that is, see, understand it. Very simple. The property of electric field. Just a second, I'll draw it. See, if this source charge, if this just source charge is positive, say this is positive, and this point charge is also positive. Okay, there will be a repulsive force. Okay, the force is repulsive. The force is in the outward direction. In the outward direction. So what we can say, if the source charge is positive, then there is a repulsive force. The direction will be radially outwards. Okay, radially outwards, because they are repelling radially outwards. Similarly, if we take the source charge as negative and the point charge as positive, there is an attraction. Okay, the attractive force is being acted. The attractive force is being acted. So what we can say, if the source charge is negative and the test charge is positive, there will be an attractive force and the direction will be radially inward. Radially inward. Got it? If both charges are positive, the direction will be radially outward. What is radial? In all direction. Okay, radially outward, because it is repulsive. If we take this as a negative and this as positive, the force will be radially inward. Okay, this is a property of electric charge. Regarding the further remaining concepts of electric field, we'll study in the next class. So today we got to know about the expression for electric field using Coulomb's law. So what is the expression for electric field? That is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square into r hat. Okay, if there are any doubts, please do message me or put in a comment section. Okay, so we'll end the today's session. Thank you.